For the past 3 years, youthful Howard Junior Minister Larry Anthony has lived life on a knife edge in the most marginal seat in the federal parliament, Richmond, on the far north coast of New South Wales. It's one of more than 20 marginal coalition seats and was a prime target for Labor, with only 44 votes between Mr Anthony and political oblivion. Given the large and angry group of voters living in the caravan parks of Richmond, defeat for the National Party MP had seemed almost a foregone conclusion. Then the Tampa rescue hit the headlines. Paul Lockyer reports.
This was once very secure National Party territory, but the farmers have given way to an influx of outsiders who have brought a political sea change to this seat, stretching from Byron Bay north to Tweed Heads on the Queensland border. Richmond has one of the highest percentages of retirees of any seat in Australia, and the way they vote could well determine the outcome of the contest here.
These people that sit in Canberra on their shiny bums wouldn't know the first thing about what a caravan park looks like.
Lingering anger amongst caravan park residents about the GST is being fanned by Labor.
I mean, how arrogant is this government that says that it doesn't matter, it's only a couple of dollars a week?
I voted, and I've always been a dyed-in-the-wool Liberal voter, but having seen the social issues at the ground floor over the last 3 years, I've changed my vote.
It's been a complete mess up from my point of view. And of course, if Mr Beasley also says he'll bring down the GST on electricity and gas, that's an even bigger incentive, isn't it?
I don't dislike Larry. Nobody does. But we've got to look after ourselves.
There are almost 7,000 votes amongst the caravan park residents, most of them aged pensioners living in prefabricated homes that they own, paying on average $90 a week in site rents. But they went up 5.5% with the introduction of the GST, the only form of residential rents to rise under the new tax. Larry Anthony is hoping that a compromise finally worked out with the tax office to reduce the impact of the GST on park rents will take much of the sting out of the issue come polling day.
Well, look, I'm pretty confident what we've done here, particularly with GST on caravan parks, is that there's a new tax formula in place. Effectively, the GST now has been removed from just about every caravan park or mobile home park here in the Tweed.
But not all of them.
I hope to retire in peace and quiet on the Tweed River. But ever since I've been here, we've had nothing but hassles.
Alan Shepherd has been a caravan park resident for 15 years, a lifetime Labor voter who switched his support to Larry Anthony at the last election, believing he would deliver rent relief. He even went to Canberra with Anthony to argue the case, but now claims he'll be one of many returning to the ALP.
Well, we'll decide at the polls. There's no two ways about it. Larry Anthony will not get a vote, as far as I'm concerned, from any caravan park resident.
Hello.
I'm right there.
I'm Jenny.
Yeah, Jenny, we're right with you. We're following you all the way.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
The Labor candidate, Jenny McAllister, is largely preaching to the converted as she makes her rounds of the caravan parks. The vast majority of residents are traditional Labor supporters. The intriguing question is how many may have deserted to become Howard's battlers at the last poll, and how many will now return to the Labor fold.
I don't think we've ever counted on any particular group getting us over the line, but park residents do understand that they were forgotten about by the government.
If Larry Anthony faces problems in the caravan parks, Labor has troubles of its own in the town of Mullumbimby, in the heart of the Richmond electorate.
Jenny McAllister demanded my silence after I wrote to the Echo in July on the factional dealings up here, and so it was an agonising decision. I had to, because I knew I couldn't be silent, so the only choice left to me was to leave the party.
Julie Nathan, who is now running as an independent candidate, was president of Labor's Mullumbimby branch and of the Federal Electoral Council overseeing pre-selection in Richmond. She claims the left-wing machine from Sydney steamrolled through its own candidate against objections of the rank and file in Richmond.
One way, we had worked through internal channels, we got nowhere, so this is one way for the grassroots up here to be able to say to head office and to the factional boys in Sydney, enough is enough.
I think people understand that the Labor Party has a tough pre-selection process, and they also understand that produces tough candidates.
The charge is that Jenny McAllister's pre-selection was orchestrated by Anthony Albanese, the federal member for Grayndler, to boost left-wing ranks in Canberra.
But the Labor Party rank and file in this seat, the people who selected Jenny McAllister, they're united and they're going to make sure that she gets elected as the member.
But Julie Nathan claims she has rank and file support and is preferencing Larry Anthony ahead of Labor.
It's a move that we were forced to take because if we were to preference Jenny ahead of Larry, then that's only just caving in and they're not going to take notice of what's going on up here.
Whatever the rights and wrongs of the accusations about the pre-selection process in Richmond, it's hardly helpful to the Labor Party campaign in an electorate where the smallest political influence could tip the balance either way. And that's where the preferences of the minor parties become all the more crucial. On that score, the Labor Party has been boosted by the news that the Democrats favour them. The Greens are still to make up their minds. It's in Tweed Heads, the main population centre, where the major parties are concentrating their battle.
71.
It's all about winning the senior citizens' vote. And in these uncertain times, the government expects its message on security will resonate loudest here. For this electorate has the highest percentage of war veterans of any electorate in Australia.
A lot of them are concerned about our own sovereignty. If we can't protect our borders, then clearly a lot of the other smaller issues become irrelevant.
The truth is, when people look and ask themselves the question, am I better off? The answer is no. People understand that.
But even amongst the disgruntled caravan park residents, the boat people issue runs strong, just as it has ever since the government turned the first asylum seekers away.
It's a feel sorry for all them people that drowned, but that's not our fault. That's the fault of somebody else.
I mean, they're coming through Indonesia straight on the boat and demanding to be here. I mean, that's pretty heavy stuff, you know.
Why should we take the brunt of the troubles of some other country when they don't even try to look after themselves? If they're prepared to have the Taliban rule them, that's their problem. There's enough of them to stop them.
There'll be no escaping the boat people issue in this election. The question is whether it'll be enough to get Larry Anthony across the line again in Richmond. It only serves to complicate a battle for an electorate those sides believe they need to win if they are to take government.
Paul Lockyer with that report.